Hi everyone! I've been to China several times for business, but this April was the first time I explored the country on vacation. I did it backpacking with my two daughters, aged 3 and 6, and without any fixed plan or advance booking. In this video, I'll first share what I had originally planned and then walk you through what actually happened. If you're planning your first trip to China, this video should give you some practical inspiration. While traveling, I made short daily videos. YouTube only allows a limited number of links during the video, so here you can click the playlist containing all the videos. Later, during the part where I show you the actual itinerary, I'll add links to some of the daily clips. The plan was to arrive in Guilin on day 1 around 10 a.m. and spend the rest of the day exploring the city, visiting the center, take a scenic boat tour of the famous lakes and surrounding mountains, and spend the night in Guilin to start fresh the next morning. On day 2, I plan to take the famous boat ride along the Li River to Yangshuo. It's a 4.5-hour cruise through stunning karst landscapes. After arriving in Yangshuo around 1 p.m., I will rent a bicycle and ride the beautiful Yulong River loop, staying in Yangshuo overnight. On day 3, I wanted to cycle from Yangshuo to Xingping, a small town famous for the landscape on the back of the 20 RMB note. The plan was to hike around there before cycling back to Yangshuo for the night. On day 4, I plan to take a shuttle bus from Yangshuo to Dazhai, a small village on the Longji Rice Terraces, and spend the night there surrounded by amazing scenery. Day 5 was reserved for hiking the rice terraces around Dazhai. I plan to spend another night in Dazhai. On day 6, the plan was to take a car back to Qiyun Station and catch a train to Wuyuan, arriving in the evening. My first stop in the area would be Xidi, one of the traditional villages in this rural region. I plan to spend day 7 exploring the villages around Xidi, including the larger, Big Likang and the smaller Little Likang. Ideally, I wanted to hike around and, if possible, explore by bicycle, then take a short train ride to Tunxi or Xidi for the night. On day 8 and 9, the idea was to explore Qiyun Shan, one of China's 4 sacred mountains, and the surrounding villages. I stay in the same place both nights. On day 10, I plan to take a 1.5-hour train to Hangzhou, known for its beautiful West Lake and tea fields. I'll explore the city and stay overnight. On day 11, after a bit more sightseeing in Hangzhou, I'd head to Wuyuan, one of China's famous water towns, about 1.5 hours away, and stay overnight. Day 12 and 13 were for exploring Suzhou and nearby water towns like Tongli, Luzi, and Mudu. Known for the classical gardens and canals, they offer a glimpse into China's ancient past. I plan to stay in Suzhou both nights. On day 14, I would head to Shanghai for the final leg of the trip, with time to explore the city's neighborhoods and skyline. I stayed 2 nights before flying back to Munich in the evening of the last day. So that was the plan, which got derailed even before departure. Just before leaving Munich, I got a message that the connecting flight from Beijing to Guilin was cancelled due to wind and postponed to the next evening. So, day 1 and 2 ended up being spent in Beijing, and we finally arrived in Guilin in the late afternoon of day 2. From the airport, we went straight to Yangshuo, skipping Guilin entirely, and spent the first 3 nights there. Day 3 was spent scootering around Yangshuo and the Li River, since there were no bicycles available, and we were allowed to ride with 3 on an electric scooter. Here is the video from that day. On day 4, we went by scooter to Xingping, took a boat ride, and hiked around the area. On day 5, we took a taxi to Dazhai in the Longji Rice Terraces and spent that day and day 6 hiking the area. We didn't see a single other tourist during our whole stay. You can find the day 6 video at this link. On day 7, we changed plan at the last minute. Instead of taking a train to Wuyuan, which would have taken the whole day, we flew to Suzhou and spent 3 nights there. Days 7 and 8 were for visiting Suzhou Classical Gardens, while on day 9 we went to the nearby towns Tongli and Suzhou. There is a video from that day at this link. On day 10, we took a train to Huangshan and spent 2 nights in the nearby and incredibly beautiful village of Xidi. On day 10 and 11, we explored Xidi, the incredible Qiyun Shan mountain, picture-perfect Hongkong, and a few smaller villages in the area. On day 12, we decided to visit the legendary Huangshan mountain, which turned into a crazy, crowded day. I really recommend checking out the video. At the end of that day, we went to Wuyuan, where we spent day 13 and 14 visiting rural villages and the Wolong Canyon. Here is the video link. Finally, we spent the 15th and final day in Hangzhou, visiting a lake, surrounding gardens, and tea plantations before heading to Shanghai for our late-night flight back to Munich. Overall, this was one of the most intense, beautiful, and unforgettable trips I've ever had. I usually never go back to the same place twice, but this time I was already thinking about the next visit while boarding the return flight. The itinerary we ended up with was perfect. The only low point was the first 2 days in Beijing, which I think can be skipped altogether. The day on Huangshan mountain was also a bit insane due to the crowds, but I think we just had bad luck with the timing and unusually good weather. I hope this inspired you to visit China. In 2 weeks, we barely saw any foreign tourists, just a few in bigger cities like Suzhou and Hangzhou. I'll soon post a video on the cost of the trip, and one with recommendation for visiting China on a self-organized trip. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.